Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
All right, guess what today is? And if you said Wednesday, stop it. Today is, what is it, Norma? Hump Day. Ain't that right, Jewel? Today is Hump Day, and certainly we want to greet all those from our Indiana campus, our Hardin County campus, our Louisville campus, and everywhere that you might be. We say welcome to Hump Day, because this is the day that the Lord hath made, and we are going to rejoice and be glad in it. That you need to remember this. God made this day for us and made us for this day. So rejoice and be glad in it, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the situations. I don't care about conventions and things going on. Look, this is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Now, with our lesson today, we will conclude the August series of stormy weather. And oh, it has been timely, and let me thank you for your compliments, your encouragements, your words of encouragement, your texts, your emails, saying how blessed you have been, how timely the lessons have been, and I just want you to know that I appreciate it. Anytime that you want to hit me up and ask a question or a compliment, or perhaps it might be a series you think that you might like to hear, just hit up gsnelson@ssclive.org, and trust me, I'll get back to you. Now, don't go sending me old nasty letters now. You know, I don't like that. That'll hurt my feelings, you know. But seriously, let me just say that I appreciate your compliments and your prayers. Now, let's get down to today's lesson. Today's lesson is entitled Storm Warnings. Storm Warnings. One of the first things that I do when I get up out of the bed, and I go, of course, to the bathroom and personal business, then I turn on the TV, and the station that I turn to is the Weather Channel, because I want to know what the weather will be like today and what is the chance of rain, or perhaps even in this time of the year, a storm coming. And my sisters and brothers, that's our lesson today, storm warnings, because whether we want to realize it or not, there are storm clouds on the horizon, and I'm here to tell you a storm is coming. But one thing I like about God, He's a weatherman. Oh, yes, He is. He gives us a storm warning before He sends the storms. Now, I know we have talked about storms come suddenly, and sometimes they come with a warning, but God always sends a warning before He sends a storm. And to disregard His warning is to put ourselves in harm's way. Now, there's an old school song. You know I always bring up old school songs, so don't be surprised. There's a storm out on the ocean, and it's moving this old way. If your soul's not anchored in Jesus, you will surely drift away. And there are different types of storms, and there are hurricanes, there are tornadoes, there are tsunamis, There are thunderstorms, windstorm, ice storm, snowstorm, rainstorm. There are storms. And God sends storms in our lives for a reason. Now, first of all, let us take a look. Let me say this. There are three things that we look at. There's the call, but three things about the call. About the call is a storm is developing. And the first thing that the weatherman will tell you, or they even will run it at the bottom of the television screen or at the top. Watch. There is a watch. Especially, and a watch is essentially, it means a chance. A chance. This condition will happen. They're telling you, the watch tells you there is a chance of a storm, a thunderstorm, a rainstorm, whatever, windstorm, there's a chance. The conditions are perhaps there, and it could develop into a storm. And it usually covers, a watch covers a large geographical area. They will even tell you that a watch is developed in Jefferson County, Kentucky, southern Indiana, Floyd County, Clark County, Henry County, and they were Henderson County, Jefferson County in Indiana, Jefferson County in Kentucky, Henry County, Boyd County. It would tell you. It would tell you. That's the watch. So you are supposed to watch. And if you remember when we did Habakkuk, we talked about being a watchman on the wall. And when the watchman can see and know that a storm is coming, he is supposed to do what the weatherman does, announce that the conditions are right. And I want to tell you today, my sisters and brothers, the conditions are right. This is going out over a large geographical area. The conditions are right for a storm. A storm is on the ocean and it's moving this old way. Now, that's the watch. But then they will come back and the weatherman will tell you there's a warning. Not a watch, but a warning. And this means that the weather is already occurring, or it is likely to occur, and it will tell you to take proper protective measures. And take proper. And in fact, they would tell you, if you are in this area, and usually the area is smaller, if you are in this area, then you need to take cover. All right? That's the warning and the watch. Then there's a waiting. There's a waiting. And this can be identified, perhaps, my sisters and brother, as a period of preparation. Preparation. You know the storm is coming. See, here in Louisville, Kentucky, many times we don't have to do this. But I saw it just recently on the television. I think it might have been South Carolina or North Carolina, further down south. There is the watch and the warning comes. And then you have this waiting for the storm to hit, but that's your preparation time. They start putting up things to cover the windows, to anchor things down, because they know the storm is coming. And so the weather forecast keeps you posted as to when to expect the storm to hit the area. And many times you are told, okay, the storm will be here thus such a time. It's predicted. And so you need to take cover. You need to, in fact, let's move to the next C. We looked at the call. Let's look at the charts. So they will tell you, heed the call. That's what you have to do. Heed the call. They will tell you, go to your basement, go to a safe place. But now that the weather has been forecast, you have been warned. You've had a watch, you've had a warning, and you've got to wait. But now you have a choice. And some people will take heed to the call, and they will prepare themselves and get ready for the storm. Then you have some who will defy the warning and do things their own way. You know, this is my thing. I don't believe it. There's always, they don't know no more than I do. They said it, but it can turn, and I don't want to go through all of this. And there are others who choose not to believe that there is a real danger. And I'm afraid that that's where we are in this land called America, is the storm warning has been issued. The watch is over. The warning is here. Now you're in the waiting period and you need to make preparation. But many of us choose not to believe that there is a real danger. There is a real danger. In the first part of our lesson, Zephaniah, that's a book that normally we don't study in. Zephaniah is a minor prophet. And the minor prophets, I say it again, does not mean what they are talking about is a minor issue. It just takes them less words and they say it and be done with it. The choice is yours. And Zephaniah issues a storm watch and a storm warning to the people of Judah. And we can listen today, that same watch, that same warning is still in effect for America. You have lived this way. God said you have lived your way too long. What makes you think every superpower there has ever been has been brought down? And I don't know what makes people at 1600 Pennsylvania think that they are in control. Here's the warning: we will go down unless we do things God's way. And I'm not going to take it back. Zephaniah said, chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. This is the Lord speaking. I will sweep away everything from the face of the earth, declares the Lord. I will. You hear? You need to hear me as I read it. Because he said, I will sweep away everything from the face of the earth, declares the Lord. I will sweep away both man and beast. I will sweep away the birds in the air and the fish in the sea, and the idols that cause the wicked to stumble, when I destroy all mankind on the face of the earth, declares the Lord. Now, you have been forewarned. It's a universal announcement of judgment. It's universal. And when you say universal, it means in the universe. And America's in the universe. It's in, and God shows divine indignation. He's tired of this mess. It is not God's way for 1% to have 90% of the wealth. It is not God's way for people to sleep out on the streets. It is not God's way for the police to kill the people they are supposed to protect. That is not God's way. It is not God's way to put a division among the people. And he has divine indignation. And now is what's going to happen. Will come divine vengeance. Who shall be able to stand? Isaiah 34, 1 through 3 says, "Come near, you nations, and listen. Pay attention, you peoples. Let the earth hear, and all that is in it, the world and all that comes out of it. The Lord, the Lord." And if you notice it's in all caps, we've discussed this before. That's Jehovah. That's the great I am. That is Yahweh. That's the promise-keeping God. He's making a promise, he'll keep it. The Lord is angry with, notice the word there, all nations. All nations. So don't sit back and think, okay, it's China, it's Japan, it's this. It's all nations. His wrath is on all their armies. He will totally destroy them. He will give them over to slaughter. Their slain will be thrown out. Their dead bodies will stink. The mountains will be soaked with their blood. Now here's a point to ponder. I want you to think about it. Why do we act as if God can't or won't punish us? Let me go back into your mind. You know your mama or your daddy used to say, especially your mama, used to promise us a whipping. If you do it, I'm going to whip you. Well, you know, there's not a kid in the world that didn't get hard-headed sometime and got in their mind they must thought either they couldn't or they wouldn't. Don't do it, they would tell us. Because, see, then they promised you a whipping. And we go merrily on our way and do it anyway. And when we least expect it, here they come. Whenever time I think about it, I have to take my time and tell you this one. It was my sister, my aunt, and myself. We were just like little stair steps, boom, boom, boom. My aunt was the oldest, and there was my sister, and then me. I was the baby. And my aunt's mother, who was our grandmother, we asked. And we said to her, and we called her, me and my sister, we called her mother too, because we heard my aunt call her mother and all our uncles, so we called her mother too. We call our mama, but our grandmother, mother. And we asked her if we could play with our little dishes, because we had a little teapot that you could set on the stove, and when it get hot, it would whistle, let you know it was hot. And we asked her. We were good kids. We asked. We said, "Mother, can we play?" And she said, "No. No." I don't know what part of that we couldn't understand, the N or the O. But we went merrily on our way as if she said yes. And we got out our little dishes and we started playing. And then all of a sudden, a shadow fell over us. And we stopped. What are we stopping for? I mean, we big, we bold, we know that she said no, but we doing it anyway. But when that shadow fell over us, we stopped and we looked, and there she was. And she looked at us. And we froze. And then she turned around and went on back out. We looked at each other like, hey, if it'd been in those days, if we had known high fives, then we would have high-fived each other. Like, oh yeah, we got this. And so we went back to playing. By and by, we got through playing. We got tired. So guess what? We cleaned up. Her kitchen was cleaner than when she did it. It was clean. And so then we went to the next thing we wanted to play. That's when children play. And I'm going to date myself because we had paper dolls. And we went to the doll house and the paper dolls, and we started playing with that. When all of a sudden, here comes, and my grandmother, she was a tall woman too. Here she come with the belt in her hand and said to us, "Didn't I tell you I was going to whip you if you play? I told you not to play in the water." Well, we were amazed. You saw us You didn't say anything. And she whipped us. Oh, yeah, she whipped us. Why? Because we act as if she couldn't or wouldn't punish us. And that's the way we act today. See, if we, I'm talking about America, truly believe that God will punish our sins, has this knowledge impact our daily lives? Obviously, we think he won't, because we do whatever we want, when we want, how we want, because we think, hey, we're America. Now, here's another point to ponder. Is COVID-19 a judgment of God on mankind? If you say yes, then ask yourself why. And if you say no, then ask yourself, why not? Just don't say yes or no. Think. Now, let's go back to Zephaniah, chapter 1, verse 4. He says, I will stretch out my hand against Judah and against all who live in Jerusalem. I will destroy every remnant of Baal worship in this place, the very name of the idolatrous priests, those who bow down on the roof to worship the starry host, those who bow down and swear by the Lord, and who also swear by Moloch. Those who turn back from following the Lord and neither seek the Lord nor inquire of him. Be silent before the sovereign Lord, for the day of the Lord is near. And you know, you need to go back and read it again. I will stretch out my hand against America and against all who live in America. I will destroy every remnant of Baal worship in the place, the very names of the Senate, and those who think they are in control, who think, there's your forecast. There's your forecast. God tells us he forecasts then against them and now against us. Then the divine judgment was upon the Israelites. Now it is upon the Americans. Then it was about idol gods. Now it's about the atheists. Then it was about idolaters. Now it's about antagonistics. Then it was non-believers. Now it's all of us. It's all of us. And if you think that I'm a little excited today, I'm not. I'm just wanting you to get the picture that we are in trouble, and God, as his teacher, I am trying to tell us he's speaking, and he gives us time to get it right. If you don't believe me, go read Jonah. Said Jonah go tell Nineveh in 40 days. That's grace. They were in a grace period. And Nineveh took the grace period and changed it. We're in a grace period. You can tell when the decline of a nation is in hand because it's in 3 steps. Religious apostasy. We there, hello. Moral awfulness. And we have, no morality. And political anarchy. And I could drop the mic and just walk off the set behind those, my sisters and brothers, because there it is. And since some of you probably sitting there like, well, I don't think we're so bad. How is idol worship seen in our society? It pains me, it hurts me to see how some of us who call themselves believers, we worship at the footstool of politics. Some of us believe. Now, some of us believe, we go from one extreme to some of us believe that 45 is the Antichrist. You're wrong. That's wrong. Okay, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. And some of us believe, some of us almost worship him. He is not to be worshiped. God said, thou shalt have no other God before me. And we have put everything before him. We worship politics, we worship our jobs, we worship money, and we got the nerve to put in God we trust on our money. You better go on back and put in this money I trust. Then, another point to ponder, what are some things that may not be graven image, but may serve as idols for Christians today? Positions, popularity, power, prestige. You want me to go on and on? They may not be graven image, but they idols for us. Now let me go on to verse 14. Verse 14. Still in Zephaniah. And I'll go down to verse 18. The great day of the Lord is near and coming quickly. I told you there's a storm out on the ocean. The cry on the day of the Lord is bitter. The mighty warrior shouts his battle cry. That day will be a day of wrath, a day of distress and anguish, a day of trouble and ruin, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of cloud and blackness, a day of trumpet and battle cry against the fortified cities and against the corner towers. I will bring, there it is again, I will bring such distress on all people that they will grope about like those who are blind, because they have sinned against the Lord. All sin, my sisters and brothers, are against God. Their blood will be poured out like dust, and their entrails like dung. Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to save them on the day of the Lord's wrath. It's coming. In the fire of his jealousy, the whole earth will be consumed, for he will make a sudden end of all who live on the earth. So we have talked about, we've been forewarned, we've seen the forecast. Now this is the foreshadow of distress, devastation, and darkness. And all I can say to you is coming. Zephaniah issues a storm watch and warning. Now, here's some other points to ponder. How do you prepare for a storm? How do you prepare for a storm? Some of us look right at the television, get the weather forecast, say it's going to rain, and then we go out without an umbrella. Now is the waiting period, the preparation. Get yourself ready for the storm. In Ezekiel, and we talked about this, I think that was in Habakkuk when we did Habakkuk several months ago. In Ezekiel 3:17 through 21, this is a point to ponder. You need to go back, write that down. Ezekiel 3:17 through 21, where God declares that we are watchmen on the wall. Since we know that a devastating storm is coming, what is our duty and our responsibility? Because he said, as a watchman on the wall, we have a duty and we have a responsibility. And we need to be, and guess what? I am a watchman on the wall, and that's why I am telling you point blank today, right in your eye, a storm is coming. Prepare yourself. Because Zephaniah gave a storm warning and a storm watch and warning. Now, some of you Because I'm reading your thoughts. Some of you saying, well, see, that's the Old Testament. That was Judah. That was Israel. That has nothing to do, that's America. That has nothing to do with me personally. And I'm glad that you thought that out loud. Because that was the Old Testament, and Zephaniah was declaring it to the nation as we just declared it to the nation. But now, in the New Testament, we have another weatherman. Zephaniah was the weatherman in the Old Testament for the lesson. So I knew somebody was going to say that's the Old Testament. In the New Testament, we've got a weatherman by the name of Jesus. And he issues a storm watch and warning. And in fact, he issues this watch and warning at the end of the greatest sermon that was ever preached. And we're talking about the Sermon on the Mount. You know, he started in chapter 5 of St. Matthew. And he said, he gave us the Beatitude. And now in chapter 7, verse 24, he begins to close it all up. Everything that he has said, he talked about divorce, he talked about giving, he talked about praying, he talked about loving, he talked about a whole lot of things. When he got to verse 24, chapter 7, it starts, therefore. And therefore points you back to verse 5, chapter 5, chapter 6, and also chapter 7. When he said to us, let your light so shine, chapter 5, that men might see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Over on into chapter 6, he teaches us how to pray. He tells us what to do. In chapter 7, he starts out, judge not that ye be not judged, cause by what judgment you judge, ye shall be judged. But now he wraps it up. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down. Whoops, there's the storm. The winds rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. All right? Now, let me go back again. I said we talked about forecast, forecast, forewarned, foreshadow. Now, Jesus gives us here some foresight. Yeah, he gives us some foresight, because he lets us know that there will be some rain in our life. There will be some rain. So he gives us some foresight in Matthew chapter 7, 24 through 27. And he tells us that about the building. You need to build now. And in other words, he is just saying you need, because remember what I told you, there is the waiting, That's a period of preparation, and that's all Jesus is talking about. Prepare yourself. Preparation. But he says the first thing I want you to remember is the foundation. And the foundation must be durable, dependable. So he tells us about this wise man who built his house, and he had his foundation. It was built on a rock. Because a rock, now remember I said the foundation should be durable, it should be dependable. So a rock is solid, a rock is safe, and a rock is strong. So when you build your foundation, build your life on a rock, and the rock is called Jesus. Can I go old school again? Old school would say Jesus is a rock in a weary land and a shelter in the time of storms. You know, now I think about this rock building, it's a good thing I don't have a pen, because I'd make myself a little note somewhere. It's probably 2021. We need to do a Sunday school series on the importance of the rock. A rock. A rock. Because even Jesus said to us, if you hold your peace, the rocks will cry. Ooh, let me get away from that, because I be on to something else. Hey, but see, that's what happens when you study his word. It gets you excited and it leads you to something else. But we need to know, if we step over to 2021, we need to know about, and I don't know, I may have to get it to you in 2020. You need to build on a rock. The psalmist said, in the time of trouble, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Woo, God Almighty, that's good stuff. And Jesus is our foundation. Yeah. Isaiah 28:16. Therefore, thus said the Lord God, behold, I lay in Zion a stone for a foundation. That's a rock for a foundation. Now notice, watch, he says, a tried rock. It's been tried. You've tried Jesus. Has he failed you? I don't think so. A precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. Whoever believes will not act hastily. Oh my God, this is good stuff. He told, so build your life on Jesus Christ. Let him be the foundation. He'll hold you up, because the storm is going to come. And God lets us know it rains on the just and the unjust. So guess what? The rain is going to fall on you. But I don't know about you, but I got an umbrella. Not only am I got a sure foundation called Jesus, but I got an umbrella. He's underneath and he's overhead. He's all over me and he's keeping me alive. See, that's what the old folks used to say. Boy, I'm so glad I went to church in some old school church, because he's all over me and he's keeping me alive. Okay? 1 Corinthians 3:11 said, for no other foundation can anyone lay than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. And Psalms 18:2 said, the Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my Savior. My God is my rock, in whom I find protection. He is my shield, the power that saves me, and my place of safety. Ah, that's good stuff. Now, so remember the foundation. Let me tell you, there's a benefit on building on a solid foundation. What's the benefit? I'm glad you asked. Security from the storm. Security from the storm, because the Proverbs 3:24 tells you, when you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Psalms 91:5 says, you will not fear the terror of day, nor the arrow that flies, no, the terror of night. I get myself all tangled up here, get too excited. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day. That's what the psalmist said. But Hebrews 13:6 says this, so we say with confidence, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortal do to me? Somebody said, you said they can kill you, sure can. But if they kill me, I'll be with the absent from the body, present with the Lord. And you can't touch me unless he allows you to touch me. Woo! So you got security from the storm. You got survival during the storm. John 11:8, you will be secure because there is hope. You will look about you and take your rest in safety. And not only when you built your foundation on the rock, not only do you have security from the storm, you got survival during the storm, and you'll have strength for future storms. Woo, that's good. That's good. He gives you strength for future storms. Because my sisters and brothers, we know, and I want you to understand that he does not say, I'm going to issue one storm in your life and that's it. Survive it and you're all right. But there was a foolish builder. His foundation was built on sifting sand. Now, what is sifting sand? Something that won't hold you up and keep shifting up under your feet. The old folks called it sinking sand. That'll let you down. And sifting sand or sinking sand can be people, because people let you down. Popularity will leave you. Jesus he's getting ready to enter into his year of popularity. That's all he got was a year. And he was the Messiah. He got a year. And what makes you think you're going to be popular all that long? Somebody go tell 45. His days of popularity is coming to an end. If it hasn't already ended, it's coming. Position. I don't care what position you have or hold. It comes to an end. Sifting and a paycheck. Many of us today are without a paycheck. Why? Because the sand sifted. And this man, and if you looked at the two houses, they looked the same until the storm came. And the one that was built on the sand fell. And the one that was built on a rock stood. Jeremiah 22:13-14. Got to give you this one. It says, doomed to him who builds palaces but bullies people, who makes a fine house but destroys lives, who cheats his workers and won't pay them for their work, who says, I'll build me an elaborate mansion with spacious rooms and fancy windows. I'll bring in rare and expensive wood and the latest in interior decor. Guess what? Your house is about to fall. Because Jesus then said, whoo, let me hear it on. One of these days I'm going to learn how to finish. You are going to have the building, preparation, and there is the battle, which is problems. You need to realize, because he said the storm came, you need to realize you're going to get some cracks in your house, even those that's built on a solid rock. You are going to, what causes cracks? People, problems. But, and notice that Jesus cited 3 hard punches that the house is going to take. The rains came down, the streams rose, and the wind blew and beat against the house. Now, let me just tell you, when the rain comes down, how is your house? How is your prayer life? Your house need to be covered with prayer. So when the rains come, your prayer life needs to hold things in place. The streams rose. What about your faith? Because it will test your faith. Then the winds blew and beat against the house. How's your love? Do you love, or have you just fallen apart? So it will be tested. But when you realize the cracks, then rely on the promises. He said, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Remember the promise, I will not leave you nor forsake you. Remember the promise, the Lord is a very present help in the time of trouble. Remember the promise, for we know all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to their purpose. Remember, and his promises are good, and they are unfailing. They are sure by divine ability, and they are yea in Christ. And as I get ready to close, let me tell you, yeah, life will. You remember, you used to have a Bozo the clown. And Bozo, you could hit Bozo. But the good thing about it is every time you hit Bozo, he fall over, but he come back up. And my sisters and brothers, when we build our house on Christ, a solid rock, we can take the punch and we will get back up again. Well, we're going to start a new series next week because September will be Men's Month here at St. Stephen, and we are going to talk about when men pray. See you next week.